Today's episode on Coffee with Braz, we'll be speaking with one of my best friends, Sharni Layton. For those of you who have not had the pleasure of meeting Sharni Layton, she is one of the kindest people you'll ever meet. She is not just a great athlete, but also an amazing human. She's someone that you could ask to do anything and she would make sure it happened. One thing I love about Sharni is she's not what you always think she'll be. She is spiritual, she is funny, but wow, yes, you all know it, she is loud. I'm so excited for this episode. Make sure you tune in. Today's episode is brought to you by VRGF. Love the game, not the odds. So thank you, Sharni Layton, for being my first person on my podcast with Coffee with Braz.
Oh, just pumped, Braz. Like, especially because I'm the first, so.
You were always going to be the first, let's be real. But I did already make an error. You had to bring me the coffee rather than me giving you the coffee. And what have you given me?
So I was at the barista and I was like, okay, I know that I'm getting an almond cappuccino and for Braz I'll get, and I froze. And I was like, oh my God, what does Braz have? And I was like, I think it's full cream, but no, it's 2020. No one drinks full cream coffee. So I got you a soy cappuccino. And what's the verdict?
Listen, I say I love coffee and I drink anything, but...
But I knew you didn't drink soy, but I panicked. I just panicked, Braz.
I don't know if I'll be able to finish it, but thank you so much. Did you say flat white or was it...
No, like when I left.
Everything wrong. I tell people you're my best mate and I take it back, everyone.
I know.
Someone that doesn't know my coffee order, I'm pretty embarrassed.
As soon as I left, I was like, oh my God, she drinks a flat white and that's it, right? Full cream milk.
Yeah, full cream.
I don't know why I panicked. It was just like friendship is on the line here and I've ruined it. Like are you still coming to my wedding?
I don't know. Like, I know you're a vegetarian, but have you gone vegan? Like, why not the milk?
Because I have almond milk and cow's milk just makes me really bloated. But I'm not vegan, I'm vegetarian, but I follow a lot of the vegan memes and it kind of has like people sucking out of a cow teat and that just totally turns me off drinking milk when you envision that image. Like it just says and I'm not against dairy at all. Like I love cheese. But I just can't do cow's milk anymore.
My vision right now is you just sucking an almond trying to get the milk out. But I love it.
Where is the milk?
I love it. And just because it's Coffee with Braz, I'm going to quickly a few questions about coffee.
Yes.
How many coffees do you have a day?
Oh, this is my third, but I'm trying to limit it to 2 because I find after 3, I just don't feel anything anyway. And then I just have a bit of a come down. And also too
much money.
So much money.
Well, buy a coffee machine. That does save you money.
Yeah, I think that might be my Christmas present.
Yeah. Oh, very good. Very good. And I don't think it's a rumour because I'm pretty sure I've seen you before a game, and this was probably more netball rather than footy. The rumour was that you'd have 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 coffees before a game. And then you'd have no-dos in between. Is this true?
Okay, so I'd wake up in the morning and I would have my coffee and then I would then get another coffee on the way to the game. But I think the rumour came around because I get a double shot. So technically that's 2 coffees in the morning and then 2 coffees before a game because it's double shot. And then I would pop a no-dose at halftime just in case because it takes half an hour for a no-dose to kick in, right? So if I take it at the start of halftime, it won't affect me in the 3rd quarter. But in the 4th quarter, I would just come out screaming. And I always did. I was always a 4th quarter player.
And if you have been living under a rock, people that don't really know netball, Sharni was a goalkeeper. So the fact she thinks she needs that much caffeine to stay in 1/3 of the court absolutely blows my mind. But the way you played and intimidated all of us, I'm now thinking it wasn't actually, it was more your caffeine high.
It was. And I do have to say, kids at home, please don't do this. This is not a healthy habit. And please see your dietitian or nutritionist before undertaking anything that I may have done during my career. And now that I'm playing football, do you know what? I can't drink coffee before a game because I peak and fall. Whereas netball, I could just kind of cruised.
So, and again, to my point, you've gone from 1/3 to now being a ruck that runs up and down the ground like a crazy woman.
I know.
I understand that.
Oh my gosh.
Well done.
I know. But I have a bone to pick with you.
Ooh.
Because you were like, Sharni, football's so much fun. It's so easy. And I was like, great.
I don't think I ever said easy.
Well, you made it seem easy because you were so good at it. So maybe I interpreted your, like, how well you went at it as that it was easy, but that's still your fault. And it is so hard, Braz. Like, running in football is so hard. And you just made it look like a dream. And I was just, so I just had to pick that bone with you about how easy you made it look and how much I've struggled.
Yeah, but we've done the reverse. I'm a centre in netball and a back in football. So that's why you don't enjoy it. And I love footy because I get the rest.
You're the goalkeeper.
It's great. Yeah, it's awesome. Maybe I should do the coffee thing for footy. But, a lot of people wouldn't know this, but we lived with each other for 12 months at the Australian Institute of Sport. The first thing I remember about you was, for me, it was such an honour to go down to the AIS. Like, I had to fight very hard to get into that team. I'm pretty sure I had to wait for someone to decline the offer to actually get accepted, where you, again, being opposite, you got the opportunity to go there and you refused to go unless you brought a pet. And now what blows my mind is a lot of people, if they're saying a pet down to the AIS, moving to Canberra, they'd bring a goldfish.
Yeah.
But what pet did you bring to the Australian Institute of Sport?
Well, you're right, because I know the rowers brought a turtle. They had a pet turtle. But I brought my horse, Layton, my 17 two-hand Irish Sports draft horse that could have probably towed a carriage. So, yeah, and you're right, I did. I said to Simone, because I wasn't ready to give up horse riding yet, I used to compete, and I loved it. I competed in state show jumping, and I said to her, look, Simone, like, I would really love to uptake this scholarship. However, if I can't bring my horse, then I just can't do it.
And why couldn't you do it? Was it the just life away from netball, or was that your passion as well? Was that something, did you want to go to the Olympics?
Yeah, I wanted to go to the Olympics. So my goals were, I wanted to make World Youth Cup in netball, but never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd make the Open Australian team. And I thought that I was going to make an Australian team in equestrian. That was my goal. So I would have preferred to have quit netball and continued on my dream to riding in the Olympics than a World Youth Cup, which was 21 and under. But the fact that Simone was great and she said, Sharns, is it going to interfere with your training? And I said, no, I've got a paddock and everything for it. I'll go around training so it doesn't affect it. She was like, well, no issue. So I was pretty lucky there. But yeah, so it was more that wanting to go to the Olympics was my main dream.
And people are worried about me playing football. I'd be more worried about you riding a horse. Like, that just... I know you're a horse rider. I still can't see it.
I know, but I can't wait to get back out there again because obviously I'm getting back into riding now. And I want you to come out when I start competing again, because when you see someone doing cross-country or show jumping, like, it's just the best experience. Like, at the level that I was competing at, I was jumping over, 4 or 5 foot jumps that it's solid, it's like this desk, like it's a solid object. So if your horse hits it, like, it's game over pretty much. And that terrifies me, but it's so exciting that an animal puts its trust in you to put it over something so big. So it's the teamwork. So that's why I love netball, because of the teamwork. But when you have that teamwork with an animal that you can't physically talk to, like, it's amazing.
And as a kid, was like horse riding the priority, netball, footy? What was like, where was the big goal for that?
It was all horses. So netball, I was so uncoordinated. I'd trip over at all the trials when I was 15 and under. I was still in B teams, and I started riding when I was 8 years old. And I remember watching the 96 Olympics, and Gillian Rolton was doing the cross-country course, and she came off at the start and over, so the horse was jumping down, she's fallen off and broken her collarbone and 2 ribs, and she's got back on the horse and completed the cross-country, which is a couple of kilometres and about 26 jumps long. And I was like, how mad is this chick to be riding this horse with broken ribs and collarbones so that Australia could get a gold medal? That's what I want to do. So I guess I knew I was nutty from like a young age. But yeah, I would ride my horse 5-6 times a week, and then netball was just a hobby that I did on top of that.
Like, long shot, but could you still make the Olympics now? Like, is there, like, obviously netball and footy, there's kind of an age limit. Your body stops, but you're on a horse, so it's, I guess, a lot to do with them. Can you still do that now? Is that still a goal?
My goal is to compete internationally, like, so I could compete at an international Melbourne event if I obviously had a good horse and qualified. But Olympics is pretty far off. Like, you need to be, like with any sport, you need to be in the inner circles. Like, the people who are competing at the Olympics these days were competing in the 90s 90s when I was growing up watching them. So the fact that they've been around they're still going. So, Amanda Ross, I don't know what her married name is, but Andrew Hoy, who's in dressage. There's a lot of the same people who are still competing because, like you said, once they've made it, they can keep going into their 60s and 70s and yeah, it's pretty incredible. So it's really hard to break into those circles. So I don't think that I would go that far, and there's obviously a lot of money involved. But to be able to ride at my goal is to ride at the Adelaide International because I used to go and watch it when I lived in Adelaide, and to be able to do something like that would be, awesome.
I love that. That's crazy. Like, blows my mind that it can just go for so long. Like, I wish we could do that. Just keep playing footy.
Well, we just need a horse on maybe polo.
Nah.
You just need an animal doing it for you, Braz.
Oh, I think I'd rather a motorbike. You got more control of that. You stay with your horse and I'll jump on a motorbike.
Motocross.
But we thing being at the AIS, we have so many funny stories and exciting ones. Like one, you cut my hair one time and that will never happen again. I will put a photo up on this because I actually had a mullet. I will find one. It's we laugh now, but it hurt me hard.
But can we explain?
Why did I trust you?
Because I told you that my sister was a hairdresser and that I knew how to cut hair and you believed me. And then I realised as I was getting shorter, I was like, oh my God, this isn't how it looks right. So I kept on going shorter to try and fix it. And next minute, you had a mullet.
But you kept going shorter on top and not the bottom. So I actually thought there was a moment there it grew out a little bit. I thought, this is epic, and I have never been able to get to that stage again. There's probably a week where I liked it. But
you're just going to call me babe.
Never again. ever again. And we also went on a pretty crazy camp. For me, it was one of the best camps I've ever been on. And the AIS decided to put us on a plane. We had no idea where we were going.
No, we didn't.
And we got picked up in Coffs Harbour with an army guy. And yeah, for me, that camp, I laugh at it because it's the first time they ever did it and the last time they ever did it. No one's ever gone back.
No.
So for people who wouldn't know this story, we actually went to this guy's farm who used to be an army sergeant, and we became just crazy army people that got yelled at a lot, blindfolded a lot. We had to carry weapons.
Blindfolded.
But yeah, how did you find that camp?
It was horrific. It was so horrific. So we rocked up. We obviously packed all of our bags, but we didn't know what to pack because we didn't know where we were going. And do you remember when we landed and when we got to this camp in the middle of nowhere, they took all of our bags. So we had nothing. We had the same undies, the same bra. We absolutely stunk.
Yeah, three of their outfits they gave us and a little survival pack.
A little ration pack.
Yeah. That we thought was for dinner. And it was not for dinner.
No.
It was meant to last us for
24 hours.
Yeah.
And we trained for at least 8 or 9 of those 24 hours, which a normal athlete would need probably 6 meals during the day to be able to fuel their body for. And we had a muesli bar, a can of beans, or could have been dog food. It was disgusting. But
you would like that being vegetarian.
But my favourite thing, I think they had a packet of like teddy bear biscuits. Like they'd literally just gone to the supermarket and gone, that'll do them.
It comes in a pack of 12.
Yeah, and then you fell asleep by the fire and ended up waking up with a leech on your face.
Yeah, that wasn't...
That would have been horrific.
Well, I didn't see it.
No.
I think if I was the person looking at me, I would have freaked out. But I think you and I had the job of one night. There was a fire that had to stay alight for 24 hours, and you and I had the job to allocate the people who had to stay up at each hour. And I remember that was probably for me one of the toughest things because we wanted to give us like the 3 a.m. times because that was the hardest, but we weren't allowed to.
Yes.
So we became quickly people didn't like us on that camp.
Because they didn't know we weren't allowed to give us those times.
Yeah, and then I remember that night though, we were all that cold that we all just slept in front of the fire, but we all fell asleep. And then I wish I remember the guy's name, but he...
Sir! Yes, sir!
If you didn't call him sir, you were doing push-ups.
Yeah.
Came out with a loudspeaker at 3 a.m. and we had to start running.
Yeah, because we weren't allowed to be sleeping by the fire, and he cracked it at us. But I remember because I was in a tent with Laura Sherian and like she needed to get out because I just like stunk it out. Like completely farted the tent out. I was trying to warm it up. Like, Shezzy, I'm trying to help you, mate. But we were like, even though I was that stinky, she was still trying to hug me because we were just trying to use each other's body warmth because we didn't have our bags to put extra clothes on to add warmth. It was just ridiculous.
Was crazy.
Yeah, and then the best bit was on the last night, because I think we were there for 3 days or nights in the end, that even Simone and Sue, our coaches, were like, oh my God, we're so sorry. Like, get us out of here.
Well, I remember, this is dobbing in the Melbourne Vixens coach here, that Simone McKennis, she was our head coach at the AIS. She participated day 1. Yeah. And then day 2 and 3 did not leave the fire.
Yeah, she didn't leave the fire.
I don't even think she spoke to us.
No.
But she's the one that put us there.
Yes.
I would love to know what the Vixens are doing camp-wise now. But they would not be doing that. But how do you find camps like that? Do you think they're... Like, I feel like this generation, we've gone away from that. Army camp, except obviously last year our footy team did it. Do you think they're worthwhile as a team?
I think they're worthwhile to a certain extent, especially for younger players that haven't experienced them before. I think they're really good because they do teach you to harden up. But as a 32-year-old, and as you know, like when we went on our army camp last year with the Pies, like it was still really enjoyable, but I was just like, oh man, I've just done too many of these in my day. Like I've done them. I know how hard they are. I know how to shut my mind off and push through them. But they are tough. But I think that there's a fine line. I think you need to learn how to push through them physically. I think where there's been a bit of controversy with teams in the past, and this is all sports, netball, football, whatever it may be, is when you get involved with the psychological side, and I don't think that that's okay. I think if you're just pushing through in a physical sense, you need to learn how to do that. Like, if you're not crying, then this is I'm a bit of hard-ass Sharni here, isn't it? If you're not crying, then you haven't broken yourself to a point that you know how to push through. And I think by doing my very first trainer with the Melbourne Kestrels back in 2003 was an SAS guy. And so we did SAS training my first 3 years of the Kestrels, and he broke me but built me up so many times. And I believe that's what made me such a resilient player. So, yeah, I'm absolutely all for them, but not every year. Like, you need to spread it out and balance it out. But I love the challenge of doing something different. I don't want to just get on a netball court and run laps. Everyone does that. And I don't want to sit down in a circle and share feelings either.
Yeah,
So
I agree. And I reckon it's like you get to know your teammates better as well.
Mm.
You get to find out who can push themselves to one level, and then, okay, well, how do I need to support the others that don't like this kind of exercise? And and it comes... one of the exercises that we did last year was holding the rope out in front of us. And if we didn't hold it tight enough, then you were in the middle with a big metal ring.
Yes.
And how, like, that was so much heavier than we were holding. And like, I didn't even know you were holding that, but just to see how determined you were and the girls around you having to hold that to try and support a team out, I think that's when they work, because you're doing it together rather than individually.
And then you can put that out on the football field. But if you don't have those experiences in a sense outside of the football field, then you don't have that. Like, we were going to go out and we were going to fight for every ball together because I was standing in the middle of that circle crying, legit. Like, we'll try and find the photo and put it up as well. I'm pretty sure I had like the best sob face going on. But even though I was crying, I did not drop that ring.
And I haven't seen you cry like doing an exercise before.
Yeah, like it was so hard.
Yeah, they know how to break you. That's for sure.
Definitely.
And they were doing things like, and I think that this was probably the hardest thing, is saying to us that someone had dropped the rope, which meant we had to do like different burpees, different exercises.
10 burpees each time.
And then knowing, I think, I don't know, being older, knowing that no one did drop it.
Yes.
And you still had to do it. I think that's what got me. I'm like, this isn't right. This is not a rule. You're lying. Like, if we get punished. But lying. And I'm looking at you crying, and I'm like, I was just getting angry.
I know. I think everyone was getting really upset.
You were crying, but credit to you. You were still positive, crying. You got this team.
Yeah,
like, it was so good.
I was still encouraging
Where I was
the team.
like, just wanted to tackle this guy.
Yeah,
Like,
but that just shows right there, when you're put under pressure, how do you react? You know, I might cry, but I'll still push through. But you'll get really angry, so I'll be like, all right. You know that you might need to give me a kick up the butt, Sharni, stop crying.
And you need to tell me to be happy.
And I need to tell you I need to calm you down, because I know that you won't think straight if you're, angry, and I'm the exact same. So, it's pushing each other to the brink, to, like you said earlier, to see how you react, and then you know how to help each other on the football field, which is the biggest thing. But I must say, I wouldn't have like 5 years ago, I wouldn't have cried doing that exercise. I would have just pushed through. But since I went through all my depression and stuff, and I learned that actually tapping into your vulnerability is such a strength, I now find it okay to cry. Like, I wasn't embarrassed by crying. I was just like, it's emotion and it's coming out of my eyes because what I'm doing is hard, but I don't see that as a weakness. Like, I was still able to do the exercise. And so I would like to now break down barriers around what crying really is.
And how did you learn that? Like, did you learn that from going through a bit of depression, breaking down? Like, was that all through, like, I guess, experience, or did you have to see people for help with that?
I had to see, people for help, definitely. If I didn't have my psychiatrist and psychologist during that time, during my depressive episode, a part of the reason because of my depressive episode was because I put a mask on, because I kept on pushing through all the time and wasn't listening to the Sharni that was struggling on the inside. Like, that Sharni just broke. And I know I'm talking about myself in third person here, but we are all as one. And so then once I learned, okay, I'm not feeling okay, and that's okay, but I can still get up and do things, whereas I didn't let it overtake my whole body just because I was sad. I didn't stop doing the things that I needed to do. But, you know, from one day, something that I needed to do might have been getting out of bed and getting a coffee, and that was a huge win. So even the fact that I'm now able to get up and go to camps and do these things is such a huge win for me in my life because of the state that I was in at one current point in my life. But yeah, as I said, I couldn't have realised my personality and known that it was okay to be me and break down if I hadn't have had the support or that psychological support from those experts around me. I would probably still be pushing through to this day and really struggling.
Yeah, and like, I want to talk about the mask. You said you had the mask on and and that's probably where that depression came from.
Yes.
Because you had to figure out who you were, what mask were you putting on today, because I would say you had like a few.
Yeah.
Like, the way from how you were at training to the way from my house. But from the AIS to the next time I saw you was like 10 years later.
Yeah.
And you went from this country kid with a horse, and it was just, you never saw her at the AIS because if she wasn't training, she was with her horse.
Yeah.
To not just Sharni anymore, you became Sharni Layton. Like, I know that's your name, but like when people spoke about you, and even you'd call yourself Sharni Layton. Like, and you were the biggest thing in netball. Like, you were the first big personality and everyone loved you. And I felt like I didn't even know you. Like, I was so excited to play with you again. And I was like, she's not even going to remember who I am. And then we played with, but that's just, you know, my first time in the Diamonds.
Yeah.
You'd cemented your spot in the Diamonds. I remember we're sitting in the change room. It's 2016, January. You're sitting in the corner and you're meditating. And I'm just looking at you going, what is she doing? But I'm like, all right, each to their own. I'm just like, you know, listening to the music. And you're quiet, you're silent. And all of a sudden, you were like, and then I was looking back over and you're doing like these push-ups, clapping, like, and you're hitting your chest, getting so revved up. And I was like, okay, she's changed again. And all of a sudden, you'd be back meditating. And I was like, all right, Sharni has lost it. Like,
I don't know this girl. She's a weirdo.
Nat Medhurst and I had a good little chuckle to ourselves. But then that game, you came out and I reckon got like 20 intercepts. Like, you were the reason we won that game. It was unbelievable. And just to be able to be on the bench and witness how you played that game was just unbelievable. But did you have to meditate before the game because of the pressure? Like, people came to our games just to watch you. Like, was that in the back of your mind at all?
No. So I meditate. I'm a very spiritual person. And so for me to be fully in the zone when I play sport, and I'm not so much, I'm a bit more relaxed with football, to be honest, but when I was playing my best netball, so when I would meditate the first time, it was about obviously just concentrating on my breathing, and meditation is all about being in the moment. So you're not thinking about anything. And what that did was that parked Sharni the person, because Sharni the person wasn't welcome on the netball court, too nice, likes to talk to people, and that wasn't going to serve me. So by me meditating parks me, the person, and was channeling Sharni the netballer, which was like put on your little superhero cape and away you go. And then so once I'm fully present within my body, the purpose behind that is everything that we do at training is, you've done it at training, you know how to do it. So when I'm meditating the second time, I'm actually envisioning what I did at training, what my play is doing. I'm going to know what I'm doing on her. So I've already got in my head what my play is doing, so I can already see it in my head. So when I get out there on court, I'm never thinking. I'm just in the moment, reading the play, reading my player, and that takes a lot of time and practice. Like, I definitely wasn't doing that in the first 5 or 6 years of my career, but it was something as my spirituality grew and my spiritual practice grew, that when I started incorporating that into my game just went to a whole new level, because I had this belief that I had done everything that I needed to, and I was just out there. It was me, my team and the ball, and that just enabled me to be able to play my best game. So all the other fun stuff about the fans coming and all the rest of it, that all came after. After that final whistle was blown, then I could go and high five and sign autographs and stuff. But in that moment of playing, it was just about me being in the moment, focusing on my game, knowing what I needed to do and not letting anyone else distract me. And I'm a weird person because I've been in and out of leadership groups my whole life, because I lead by example, but people can also see me doing that as really selfish because I'm staying within myself. So depending on what team I've been in has depended on whether they've seen it as a leadership or a weakness. But I've always tried to stay the same and not change no matter what team I've been in.
Yeah, I find that interesting, like that last comment about being a leader, because that's how I define a leader, is someone, like you've been voted in to be a leader for that reason, is because we love you for who you are. And so I respect that you don't change, because I think sometimes becoming a leader can become powerful.
Yes.
And like a lot of people change very quickly. And that's one thing I've loved about you, is you don't change with a title or no title. You're a leader regardless. So I love that about you.
Thanks,
but I know you're spiritual, but a lot of people wouldn't think that about you. So where did that come in? Where did that come from?
Funnily enough, I've always journaled. Like, I've always had what I like to call an inner knowing about, like I always knew that I wanted to play netball, So when you're young, what do you know you want to do? So that's kind of like your spiritual guidance and pathway of where you want to go, but a lot of people don't label it that way. But I've always been very intuitive. And then in 2012, I just started doing yoga because I was really, really stiff. My sister did it, so I was like, I'm going to give this stuff a go. But then when you're in the yoga class, they started bringing out the angel cards and start bringing out the crystals, and then they start meditating and doing that side of it. And my sister actually got into that side of it first and started reading me her cards that she brought, and it was just something that we started tapping into. And when I tapped into it, it just made my life better. Like, the cards always told me what I needed to hear, and when I put my faith in the universe over just hoping that things were going to happen, when I could pass over my worries to another entity, whatever that might be God, the universe, whatever people believe in, your cat, then you don't have to worry about that stuff anymore. And I noticed that I was just a happier person. And then I looked into a few different religions. Funnily enough, I was living in Adelaide at the time, and I started going to church, and I thought, I love community and I love how church brought people together. But then I just realised after going to church a few times that I definitely wasn't religious. Liked the stories but didn't believe in them.
So was the yoga pre-Adelaide?
Yes. Yeah, so the yoga was pre-Adelaide. And then I started doing Buddhism. And I started going to temples and doing Buddhist classes, and I was like, I love their way of life, and I love their
beautiful way of life, isn't it?
Yeah, and just their teachings about obviously being very present and detachment, and no one's bigger or better than anyone else, and all of that kind of thing just sat really well with me. And so it was probably 2013, and I always made sure whenever I was on tour with the Diamonds, because you get so caught up in all the netball stuff, I always made sure that I would find a yoga studio or a Buddhist temple, and I would always go to a class whenever I was away on tour to help me stay grounded.
So that's it's something that you found yourself rather than the sporting world telling you to do it?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I don't think there's many people there might be more people in the sporting world that do it. I know when I was on tour, Bianca Chatfield used to come with me, and we used to do it together. But apart from that, Nah, I think everyone, like you said, like you looked at me meditating in the change room.
I looked at you meditating. I looked at you having rocks in your drink bottle.
Yeah. Crystals,
sorry,
right?
crystals, not right. That's where
Cleansing.
I went wrong. No.
Yeah. It was the cleanse. But no, you were already so strong within who you are, and that is such a beautiful trait, you know, but you've done a lot of work on yourself to get there. And this was the work that I had to do to personally get there. But what a lot of people who watch, you know, athletes on TV don't realise is that we have to do that work on ourselves as humans to be great athletes.
Yeah. And that, like you say, like I'm strong in myself, but as an athlete, you're always looking for that 1%. Because I remember watching you and even being at Collingwood together and just things that you would do that I would never do. And like I'm thinking to myself, I wonder if that would change me. Like would that make me a better athlete? But you're right, it works for some, works for other people. Like,
yeah.
I can't sit there that long and not go crazy.
Yeah.
Where you can just be in a total different world. Like it's amazing to watch. And yeah, I actually love when you're in that zone because it's like you can tell by looking at you, you're not here.
Yeah, I'm somewhere else.
You're in a good place.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's the best.
So you played with Adelaide, then you went to the New South Wales Swifts and then Collingwood.
Yes.
So
Tour de Oz.
You're a Collingwood baby. You've always gone for Collingwood.
Yeah.
Was it family?
No, I don't know. I think I was really young. I was a ladder hopper. Like whoever was on the top of the ladder when I was younger, that was me. So I think there was like Geelong, Richmond was there at one stage back in the 90s, the Cats, North Melbourne.
So it's only really been since 2010.
Yeah, and then one year I was like, I was in primary school, but I was like, I'm going to go for the bottom team. And it was Collingwood. We were on the bottom of the ladder and I just jumped over and I don't know why, I just connected with Collingwood and I just stuck with them ever since. Like I started supporting them and then like Collingwood just has this aura around it that the supporters just love it and they're so passionate and they don't care what anyone else thinks and it's very me, very my personality, I think. So yeah, I just always supported them. And as I went through high school, then I started, you know, getting all the clip outs and then we started making finals and I had the boys all over my wall. But, you know, opposite to most teenage girls, they had the boys on their wall probably because they thought they were hot. Whereas I just generally liked them as footballers. Yeah. So yeah, it was just, and then I got really nutty, like when I was probably late teens that I was like, Collingwood! Like, I don't know if you remember me at Collingwood at the AIS, but I used to wear my jumper around.
I didn't follow footy, so I didn't know. Like, well, I went for the Swans, but like being from Sydney, that's all you know. So
yes,
I probably thought you were in a basketball jumper.
Yeah,
like,
maybe.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I loved them. Yeah, so I was a little bit nutty there for a while.
And you even worked for them.
I did, yeah. So then that year I came back from the Australian Institute of Sport. I was playing with the Melbourne benching with the Melbourne Vixens for a year. And
playing?
Yeah. No, you're benching. But I needed a job. And prior to going to the AIS, I was a removalist and I knew that if I wanted to make it in netball, then I couldn't be a removalist because moving houses is very tiring. And they said, we've got, because the VIS, the Victorian Institute of Sport, was in the same office and we had the same gym as Collingwood. So they were like, let's see if we can find a job for you. And then they were like, we've got a job in membership. Do you want it? And I was like, hell yeah. So I was the Collingwood membership lady. It was my dream come true.
What did you have to do? You just answer phone calls and...
Yeah. Do you know what the best? I used to get like a bit like frazzled. You know, it was a bit nerve-wracking answering phone calls, especially when you're not really an office lady. And so I used to answer the phone and go, Sharni membership speaking.
Did anyone correct you?
Oh, I didn't do it all the time, but
so good.
yeah, but but yeah, I was just the phone girl, the email girl. But look, I'm going to be honest, I don't think I did too much work. I think I fluffed around most of the time. Sorry, Pies.
Yeah. Well, it's so good. It's all right. It's
yeah.
all right. You're here now. You're paying back.
Paying it forward. Yeah.
But moving to the netball side, was that a lot to do with your family? Was it to do because you loved Collingwood? Did you think eventually you'd play with footy? What was, like you had an amazing, was it 2 years at the Swifts?
Three.
So amazing 3 years at the Swifts.
Yeah.
You were the star. Again, I'm going to talk about the crowd because it was amazing to be on the court when the crowd were going nuts for you, even when I was on the opposite side.
Yeah.
But yeah, why the move?
Yeah, for that exact reason. And it was really hard. Do you know what? When I left, because obviously I've always liked to make really well-informed decisions. And so I had my pros and cons list about staying in Sydney and moving to Melbourne. And Sydney was just all pros and the majority of Melbourne was cons, but there was that one thing on the top of the Melbourne list, which was family. And I'd lived interstate for 10 years. I was getting really lonely. I was single. And I already had depression, but I didn't know that I had depression. So I was trying to find an answer for that loneliness. And so I moved back to Melbourne. And the fact that Collingwood had a team was definitely I was already contemplating moving home. I'd been offered a contract with the Vixens a few years prior, and I was like on the edge, maybe, but still obviously playing really well. And then when Collingwood were like, all right, we've got a team, I was like, you know what, stuff it. I saw it as a sign. There were magpies everywhere in Sydney. Now I know there's magpies everywhere in Australia, but
I did the same
I saw
thing.
it as a sign. I saw it as a sign. They're everywhere, aren't they?
We'd be driving and Brooke would be like, there's another magpie.
Yeah.
Like, where was our heads at?
I don't know. But yeah, so I was like, definite sign, seeing magpies everywhere, even though they're probably the most common animal in Australia. And so I was like, this is it. It's my time to come home. And I had two beautiful nieces. So my first niece was nearly 2 years old, and my sister was about to pop with the second. And I just thought, they didn't know who their auntie was, and I wasn't okay with my sister's friends being an auntie over me, and so I needed to be Auntie Sharni.
Yeah, I love that. And you've got an amazing connection with them now, and
Yeah.
you've made the right move. You've met your fiancé here.
Yes, I know. Very lucky. Met my beautiful man.
Getting married soon. So
Yes.
exciting. But just quickly, I'm going to start with netball because you are an AFLW player. But last question on netball. Do you think you retired too early?
No. I retired too early for other people. I think other people were still ready to keep watching me play. I still get messages that people miss watching me play, which is just so beautiful. But I was so ready to go. I was, and for me, it wasn't the playing, it was the training. There's just not enough variety in netball for me. And when you've done it for 14, 15 years at the elite level, that's not including childhood, it was, probably a bit longer. But anyway, it was just the same training, sideline to sideline to sideline, catch the ball, dodge. And
I love that bloody sideline.
oh my God, I hate the sideline. And so not that there's anything wrong with it, but I just needed something new in life, I think. And as I said, I'd gone through that depression and I realised that netball wasn't serving me as a person anymore. And so, getting back in touch with that spiritual side, I'll always listen to my intuition over what I should do, logically.
Yeah.
That's why I was just like, it's my time. I just knew. It's really weird to say that you just have this knowing in your gut in what direction you want to go in. But I believe in life, you need to be able to let go of something for something new to arise. And as long as I kept on holding on to netball, I wouldn't have had a new opportunity in life. And it wasn't just that. It was the fact I'd moved back to Melbourne and I still didn't get to see my family because netball commitments, we are full-time athletes. Netballers are full-time athletes now. And so I wanted to choose a lifestyle that incorporated my family.
Yeah. Well, I asked you that question because your second year into AFLW, you make the All Australian. So it's not like your body was breaking down. You're in such good form now, especially with footy.
Yeah.
It's a really good insight with that because I still say to people, I should kill it with netball still.
Yeah. I don't know if I could though.
Oh, mate, you would. Please.
Yeah.
Please.
Fools.
But year one, so we're at footy now.
Yeah.
Footy world. How was that first training session? You've gone from the Australian goalkeeper into a completely new sport. How was that?
So hard. It was just the running. The running was so hard because I'd obviously spoken to Wayne about joining on with the team that first year as a rookie, and he'd taken me out for a kick and, we'd have a kick at training and I could kick, I could mark, I could handball. But go run 5K, kick, mark and handball. And I was kick on the run.
Couldn't bump.
Oh, yeah, get a little bump. No way. It was so hard. And I just remember being so tired. I was like, I'm so tired. This is such a, people ask me, as I'm sure they do you as well, what's harder between netball and football? And I say netball's harder on the body, but football's harder like into that physical, like pounding on the netball court. But football's harder in regards to your energy depletion. Like it just depletes all of your energy because you're running around so much, and then it takes me so much longer to recover even after training sessions in comparison to netball for me. So, it was so funny because I was like, training was so hard, and then I was so tired the next day, and then I had to do it all over again, and I was just like, what have I done?
And how did you manage the energy thing? Like, because, you know, running, you obviously lose muscle. A lot of your game, netball and footy, is about muscle. So how did you keep your muscle coming into year 2?
I had to lift my muscle, like my strength training, because what I was doing in the first year, which was probably similar to what I did in netball, wasn't enough. And like you said, because I did so much running and I don't have much fat on me, so when I run, it just eats my muscle up. I got really skinny, and then girls were just pushing me over, and I was like, okay, coming into year 2, I need to be stronger to be able to compete in the ruck. And so I did like a pre-season. So I did like an 8 to 12 week pre-season in the gym before pre-season even started, just to put that muscle on. So it was like a full 3 to 4 time a week strength program to get me up to the standard that I needed to be at.
And would you say, like, the difference between you year 1 and year 2 is weights, or would you?
Weights and skills and experience. So I think I was playing VFLW that year, so just playing week in, week out for 18 games. And even if I wasn't playing on the weekend because I was resting, then I was still training on a Tuesday and Thursday. So just understanding the game better, knowing where to run. I think, and I tell this to a lot of younger athletes, but, you know, I love that you get so much smarter when you're older, and I wish that you could have those smarts when you're young, but you just can't. You can't take in that much information, whereas I love now that you can give me a game plan and I can figure it out in my head, and even though I'm still learning football, I can still point the younger girls in a direction of where to go, and, you know, that's my strength now. So the fact that I can now stand on an oval and understand the game and know where people are meant to stand and do that kind of stuff, like it took me a season in VFLW to be able to understand that. And then on top of the weights, obviously I was doing extra training sessions with Tarkan Lockyer, who was a coach for the men's team here, and he would take me for 1 to 2 sessions a week as well. And that one-on-one body contact, those basic skills that you can't do at group training because there's too many people. But it's just doing the hours. You know, at the end of the day, Malcolm Gladwell outliers, you just need to do your 10,000 hours. So I just had to get my hours up as quickly as possible between year 1 and year 2.
It sounds like you already know more than I do, and I've been playing it forever.
Oh, no, man. I'm trying in my head, but I can't execute.
No, you're unreal. And you're vice captain this year. You've got the team's respect. Everyone absolutely loves you. What are you going to bring to the team being vice captain?
Well, I would like to think that I just love this group, Brazill, you know, and obviously you're an incredible leader in our group as well. And I think just to be able to, I can't bring the football nous or knowledge to a leadership position, but I would like to think that I do have a very strong leadership style now. And I just want, you know, in any team, you're only as strong as, you know, the last leader in your team. So for me, it's all about bringing the young girls or the new ones up to the standard of what we created last year, and encouraging them to get on the same level, to push each other at training, to be encouraging. And I love our club and I love how fun it is, and I want everyone to have as much fun as what I do. And I know that sport and elite sport can get really serious at times, but I think it's so important to keep having that fun aspect. So I hope to bring that as well. You
talk about the fun, and like you watch your footy game and you can tell you're having a ball of fun out there. You're laughing, you're smiling.
Yeah.
You're chatting. You can hear you on the field banging, like, in the stands. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But did you have that fun with netball? Because I struggle to tell people the difference in the side of that, because for me, netball was my ultra ego, you know, like once I cross that line, I can't tell you what's going to happen. Where footy, I already know what I'm going to be like. Are you similar to that?
Yeah, it's bizarre, isn't it? I don't know why either, but same thing. Netball, I definitely had an alter ego. I've still got a little bit in footy, because you got to have a little bit of grunt about you if you've got people running at you in the ruck. However, in netball, my alter ego was about, my enjoyment came from having a really good performance. And so I think my mindset has shifted from playing netball to football. In netball, I had to play well. I had to get the most amount of intercepts. My team had to win, how I was so aggressive if we lost a game. I'd just crack it. Like I didn't do losing. I hated losing. And so, but it was a really unhealthy mindset. So now my mindset has shifted a lot around, okay, I now know how to have a good performance but still enjoy myself at the same time. Whereas I think in netball, I got the fun gets beaten out of you a little bit because you can get interpreted as not taking it seriously. But I don't believe that's the case. I like to see people having fun and pushing themselves hard, and I totally believe they come hand in hand. And I'm so glad that I can do that in football.
Yeah, that's great. So Sharni, Layton, 2021, you've got a lot happening. You'll be, I guess, getting married in the new year.
Yes.
Like you'll be getting married in 2020 but celebrating in 2021. It's going to be very exciting, getting married on New Year's, and you're bringing out a book.
Yes.
So I'm so excited to see what next year brings you. But your wedding, let's talk about that first.
Yeah.
You were meant to get married, is it March or April?
April. I was meant to get married
Hawaii.
in April. Yes.
So COVID obviously hit. That didn't happen. It's gone from Hawaii to moving to November. Now we're New Year's. Are you confident we're going to get there with COVID? And how are you going? How's the wedding plans?
I don't know if I was confident until the flight started coming in today, and now I'm just like, just push them back a month, give us another month of freedom. But,
100%.
I'm just hoping that the quarantine system goes well and that everyone does the right thing and we can stay open. But, yeah, I think I'm really excited now. Me and Luke, we had planned in April and postponed it till November, and then we had to postpone it again to New Year's Day. And so now, we're just hoping that it goes ahead. But either way, we're just, we're so excited. And we've been, do you know what is the coolest thing? We had to hire a celebrant because our last wedding was going to be in Hawaii, so we had to get a new celebrant in Australia. And we sent her what we were going to have written at our ceremony in Hawaii in April. And we were like, we want to buy a house, we want to get a gym and a shed, and we want to buy a horse, and I wanted to buy a horse. Anyway, everything that we wrote down, we did this year. Yeah. So that's really cool. So we're like,
that now in your wedding speech.
I know. How good's that? So it's like, it was, really hard and obviously like extremely frustrating not being able to have the wedding go ahead. But the fact that we achieved everything that we wanted to after the wedding, before the wedding, and we still get to get married with all of our friends and family. Like we organised New Year's Day with 20 people and we were like, let's keep it at 20 and we'll just hope for the best. And the fact that now we can have everyone there that we wanted, it's just the best. So we're very excited. I'm very excited to marry the man of my dreams.
Yeah, we're all excited, and like everyone loves Luke. So
yeah, he's the best.
Him in a netball dress just looks incredible.
I know.
Hope he looks a little bit more covered up for your wedding.
Yeah.
But you book, no apologies.
Yeah.
Tell me about it. What's with the name?
We don't even need to talk about it because this is my book. Everything we've chatted literally everything we've chatted about today is in the book. So if you want more in depth, go buy the book. But no apologies, and that's exact reason. Like I've had my ups and my downs. I've learnt so much through life, but I don't apologise for any of it. Whether I've stuffed up, whether other people have stuffed up. Life is about a journey of learning, and so, if a life with no lessons would be extremely boring, and so I don't apologise for anything that I've done, even though it might have caused a few tears here or there along the way, and it's raw, it's honest. I obviously moved around a lot from Victoria to Adelaide to Sydney, back to Melbourne, swapping over to football, so I just go into depth around why I made those decisions and what my learnings were from them. And I also go into depth about, so obviously I started sports psychology work when I was 17 years old because I had really bad anxiety and I used to get anxiety on the netball court. So, I've got all my tips from what I learned from my psychologists around how to deal with anxiety, how I knew it was anxiety and how to deal with that, and then obviously managing that throughout my career to a point where I forgot about it, but then obviously it crept up on me again later on and slapped me in the face and I had to deal with it a lot more. It's I hope, like it's just my story straight up. Like I'm not saying do this, do that or whatever, but I do hope by being raw and honest that people can take something out of it and give themselves enough confidence to get themselves out of a bit of a crap spot, whether it might be a job that they don't like being in, whether it might be that they're not in great mental health or whatever, just to be able to go, actually, I do have the power to do something about this and that they can do something about it.
Mate, you're one amazing human, and I can't wait to read it. I think even though I know you pretty well, I want to read it just to get some more insight. But thank you so much for being my first guest on Coffee with Braz. You're an amazing human, amazing friend, amazing athlete, and I can't wait to see what next year brings.
Oh, thanks so much, Braz. Thanks for the
Cheers,
great
brother.
interview. Cheers, sister.
Thanks, girl.
Pre-coffee training.
Yeah. Mate, that soy milk is disgusting.
Ah!